Giannis Antetokounmpo James Harden rivalry runs deeper than you and I would both imagine. It goes all the way back to 2014, and we could assume that this was the start of the rivalry, but you have to bear in mind that there's a reason for this rivalry, as both players have taken a dramatic different route to the top of the NBA. Both of these players have won an MVP, and I feel like this rivalry is extremely special because in today's NBA, we rarely see two former MVPs have a rivalry with one another. As a matter of fact, most players in the NBA are friends with each other as a result of the AAU culture that has been established prior to their time in the NBA. So when we see a rivalry like James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo, it should be absolutely appreciated because you could tell that these two players truly hate each other. Before we dive into our analysis on this great rivalry, I'd like to thank our sponsor for today's video, and that's Raycon. This video is sponsored and brought to you by Raycon, which is a company that was co-founded by Ray J and is adored by celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Cardi B and J.R. Smith. Bro, do you think J.R. Smith has bad taste in anything? Well, let me tell you why I personally prefer Raycons over any other wireless earbud on the market. For one, they're not overpriced. They're about half the price of any wireless earbud. The reason why I use them personally is because once you put them in your ear, they never slip out, which is very ideal if you're doing cardio or you're training at the gym. Also, I love listening to EDM, so I need earbuds with crazy high bass, and Raycon gives me that bass that I crave whenever I'm trying to get those extra sets in. But not only that, it has seamless Bluetooth pairing, it has 6 hours of playtime, and it comes in a variety of different colors. So go to buyraycon.com/FlightMike for 15% off of your order, and let's get to today's video. So for those of you guys that don't know, about a couple of weeks ago, prior to the All-Star break, Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James took the stage on TNT in order to draft their respective teams. And it was very comical because, Giannis Antetokounmpo had this little journal out and he was marking who he was going to select. And things were all fine and dandy until Giannis came out and actually went out of his way to make a little jab at James Harden.
I want somebody that's going to pass the ball. That's what I want.
Because he wanted somebody that was going to pass the ball. Now, James Harden really didn't enjoy this joke. As a matter of fact, when he had an interview with Rachel Nichols, which was released earlier today, he said,
I don't see what the joke is, but I didn't even see it. I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I just know none of them can mess with me.
He didn't find the joke funny, especially because James Harden ranked 10th in assists heading into the NBA All-Star break, whereas Kemba Walker ranked 36th in assists. This rivalry runs so much deeper as both of these players established their careers vastly differently than one another. James Harden was a number 3 overall pick in the 2009 NBA draft, following, of course, Blake Griffin and Hasheem Thabeet, and he initially started his career off for the OKC Thunder as a sixth man that was primarily a scorer. Eventually, the OKC Thunder had a choice to make. They had to choose between Serge Ibaka and James Harden, and in those days, you always tried to pick the big man over the guard. So the OKC Thunder shipped out James Harden because Clay Bennett, the owner of the OKC Thunder, didn't want to play luxury tax. They received back Kevin Martin, and James Harden has been on the Rockets ever since. But James Harden truly blew up when the Houston Rockets brought in Mike D'Antoni to push the pace up to a ridiculous limit and completely committed themselves to analytics, finding that the best way for the Rockets to play basketball revolved around James Harden. Here's the thing that NBA fans think about James Harden, and it's not about what I think about James Harden, but this is what NBA fans typically think about James Harden. And it's the fact that in his 11 seasons, NBA fans would say stuff like James Harden doesn't show up in the playoffs, he doesn't care, he seems lackadaisical, he's overweight, he slacks on defense, and the worst thing of all is he plays a boring brand of basketball. Meanwhile, and you have to understand, in his 11 seasons, James Harden has won an MVP, he's led the league in scoring, and he's posted absurd statistics as he was doing it. As a matter of fact, for the past 3 seasons, James Harden has averaged over 30 points plus per game, and with last season being a 36 point per game season, and this season being a 35 points per game season. His player efficiency rating is through the roof, and this is why most of my followers hate player efficiency rating, because The numbers typically don't tell the story when you watch James Harden play basketball, but his PER has been a 29.8 for the 2018 season, 30.6 for the 2019 season, and this season he's at a 29.4. But the problem is it's never translated to postseason success, and we could all agree that the postseason is what separates legends from just great players. But there's something that James Harden says that I absolutely agree with, and that's the fact that once he retires, he is going to be appreciated. In the midst of his career, he's not going to be as appreciated, but once his career is all said and done, he will be appreciated. And if there's one little tidbit that I want to take from this video is we should do everything we can to appreciate each star player for how they are able to exploit the game of basketball and become truly dominant. That's what makes basketball unique. That's what makes each player unique. But back to the beef, James Harden comes out and decides to completely flip the narrative on Giannis Antetokounmpo. You see, most NBA pundits that don't like James Harden's game typically roast his game. His game is very boring. He does isolation dribbles and pulls up from three. He draws a lot of fouls on himself. It's not exciting basketball to watch James Harden play. And Harden decides to respond by flipping the narrative on Giannis Antetokounmpo and insulting the way Giannis plays basketball. And he said, "I wish I could be 7 feet and run and just dunk. Like, that takes no skill at all. I gotta actually learn how to play basketball and how to have skill," which I thought this was extremely unique because typically the way we insult Harden is the way he plays basketball. He decides to flip it over and insult the fact that Giannis has it easier from being 7 feet. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's only been 2 players that pop up to the top of my head, and let me know in the comment section down below if I'm neglecting to say any player that completely utilized the fact that they're 7 foot tall and completely dominated the NBA as a result of it to the extent that Giannis has been able to, and that's Kevin Durant. I know you can say Dirk Nowitzki, but like, I'm talking about 7-footers that could play at the small forward position, that have exceptional ball handling, that are playmakers as well, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant, although KD's primarily a scorer. So the fact that he was able to tap into that potential is absolutely unique, but you could sense that James Harden actually has jealousy in his voice, and I don't blame him, because Giannis' story is significantly different. Giannis was drafted with the 15th pick in the 2013 NBA draft, and he wasn't expected to be anything that special. He was considered to be a project player. The year after, the Milwaukee Bucks drafted Jabari Parker, and he was supposed to be the face of the franchise. But the fact of the matter was that Giannis was able to fulfill his potential over the years, putting on muscle and developing a jump shot, and he just kept developing further and further and further until he finally won league MVP last year. And this probably really bothered James Harden because there's absolutely empirical data that everyone in the NBA, everyone that's a fan of the NBA, clearly likes Giannis Antetokounmpo over James Harden. And the metric I'm using to measure this and make such a statement is the fact that Giannis was elected team captain of the NBA All-Star Game this year. Now, in order to be elected team captain of the NBA All-Star Game, you have to have 2 things going for you. One, you have to be healthy, so I'm sorry, Steph Curry, I'm sorry, Kevin Durant, that you couldn't play this year or be voted in as a captain. Not that I think Kevin Durant would have been voted as a captain anyway, because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't like Kevin Durant as well. But on top of that, you have to have the top 2 most votes in the entire All-Star voting. And Giannis Antetokounmpo was able to achieve that over James Harden. Now, if you're James Harden, your numbers 100% across the board, analytically, not only is able to stack up to Giannis, but you've been doing it for longer than Giannis Antetokounmpo. James Harden's been averaging at least 29 points per game since the 2016 NBA season, and he's clearly feeling like he's being disrespected. All we could do as NBA fans is truly appreciate this rivalry because we don't see 2 former MVPs beefing it out as often as we used to. And for those of you guys wondering, the next time these 2 play one another is on March 25th, 2020. Now, whose side are you on here? Are you on Team Giannis or are you on Team James Harden? Let me know in the comment section down below whose career has been more impressive thus far. And of course, if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe to this channel and my backup channel in case this channel gets taken down. All the links are in the description down below. I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload.